Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we are trying out Grid Legends. I don't know if they're calling this like a reboot or the next chapter in the series. The series did kind of get a reboot relatively recently with the titled Grid. Of course, before that there were a bunch of Grid games, but then there was the new introduction of the series just a couple of years ago. And this is the second game in that series, Grid Legends. This is the first Grid game to be made underneath the EA banner. As you can tell in the right-hand corner of the screen, this is part of the EA Play trial. This is on Xbox Series X. I did not pre-order this game. I used to love Grid back in the day. However, the last Grid game I liked was Autosport. I absolutely hated the Grid remake that came out just a couple years ago, so I'm hoping this is a lot better. So let's not waste any more time. Jump right into it.
And that's Raven West, Nathan McCain and Laura Carvalho leading the charge here at Strada Alpina.
With Seneca's Yume Tanaka hot on their heels and has been for the last 8 laps.
Could this be the race where she makes Grid World Series history?
Valentin Manzi, a one-man army in the midfield, trying to gain ground but being blocked by North Point.
I can't get through. Tell them to defend.
I woke up in a great mood that day. The weather was perfect. The team was finally getting noticed.
Number 22 defends their position.
Nice one, 22. Keep pushing.
Seneca has been on a magic carpet ride this year.
Yume Tanaka now, Carvalho in her sights, poised for the overtake, she commits!
Raven West forgets. It is easier to chase than it is to lead.
And she's through!
This proves beyond doubt that Raven West can be challenged and will be challenged.
Yume was definitely on form, but there were a lot of laps to go. My focus was the same as always. Just close the gap, whatever it takes.
Laura, get the position back.
I'll try.
Leave it to me. I won't let her pass.
It's McCain versus Tanaka, an unbelievable race for Seneca.
Pressure. No, screw that. Look, if these idiots can't keep their cars on the track, it's their problem.
Tanaka spots a gap.
It's all or nothing!
McCain doesn't like it.
Contact! Tanaka spins out, North Point have nowhere to go. This is a huge incident. Tanaka into the wall, Manzi sideways on the grass. Seneca number 21 out, number 22 damage, debris littering the track. This is unbelievable!
So you don't take any responsibility for what happened?
Hell no.
Oh, and I guess we're being thrust into it. We're not doing any of that driving.
Okay, 22, there's too much debris on the track. We need you to come in. That's a negative. Do not retire the car. I repeat, do not retire. Hado, I'm seeing significant damage to 22. And no response from Yume. Is she okay? Medics are on the scene, that's all I know. Just focus on the race. Keep me updated. Can you confirm race strategy? Look, half the field can't finish. If we do, we're in the points. We can't quit. Understood. 22. Finish the race. Go, go.
Okay, so we're in it. A little weird that they refer to us just as 22. Like, give us a generic name or like a male and a female name to pick from or something. It's a little weird that we're just generic 22.
Can't see any malfunctions. Just get over the line.
There's no way we'd be able to go this fast with this much damage, but okay. Also, that opening cutscene, I have some definite thoughts on the acting in that. Some of them were... Oh, Jesus! Some of them, you know, kind of acted fine. That one woman, though, and also the Raven guy, interesting. That's all I'll say. Who is it, the Nathan guy? Looks like we are battling with them somehow, even though we were involved in that wreck. We somehow caught up with them. This must be the world's longest track.
Final few turns now. You got this. Just keep it steady.
I don't like this race engineer. Shut up. I don't need to be told about how many corners are left if I'm in the lead and stuff, you know? Looks like with this horribly damaged car, we'll win the tutorial race at least. I'm almost certain that's the way it's supposed to go. The accident! So we can continue playing through the story of the last season, find out what made you the driver you are today, or a new team, a new season, and a new challenge. So that's interesting. So I can either continue... Why wouldn't I want to continue the story, though? I understand the, you know, play from scratch and everything. But the whole point of this grid game is the fact that it's a narrative game. They have all these actors, all these cutscenes, all this other stuff. So why wouldn't they make you continue that season before starting a new one? That's really, really weird. But we're here to see that what the story is about. So let's go ahead and continue the story.
And that's Raven West, Nathan McCain, and Laura Carvalho leading the charge here at Strada Alpina. Tanaka spots a gap.
It's all or nothing. Contact!
In a situation like this, all you can do is hope that the drivers are all okay.
It's on? Yeah? Okay. My name's Marcus Ado, and I'm the team principal for Seneca Racing. Hey, gorgeous. No. We have that dinner with the board of directors tomorrow. Some people are born into racing. I had to work for it. My parents run a Nigerian restaurant in South London, and for them, success was never about fancy dishes or expensive ingredients. It was about believing in who they hired and always striving to grow. When I got a chance to run my own racing team, I took the same approach.
Morning, Chief.
Hey, there she is. In case you live under a rock, this is Yume Tanaka, racing legend.
I got a sec to talk about the new braking system?
Sure.
Marcus Ado is something of a prodigy. He was only 25 when he convinced Seneca's board to start investing in unknown drivers and to hire him to run the team. He has the maturity of someone twice his age, and that's gained him enormous respect. The only problem is his approach hasn't worked. Last year, his number 2 driver set a record for the most last-place finishes in a single season. This year's replacement performed so poorly in pre-season trials that he quit before the first race.
Is it an embarrassment? No. You have to see the bigger picture. Finding a great recipe involves experimentation. Sure, we had a few rough years, but once we succeed, and I really believe we're going to, we may well become the best team on the grid.
But for now, what? Season starts in 3 days. You're down a driver.
Guess I'll have to find a new driver.
Please make your way to your seats for this driver showcase event. It's a great day for it, and our racers are raring to go and eager to impress.
Interesting. So I'm guessing this is going to be the race where we get discovered. Now, definitely right off the bat from that cutscene, I think it's pretty obvious what they're going for. Codemasters / EA. Again, the whole thing with this thing of EA taking over, you don't know when they started to have an influence on Codemasters. So I'll just say the Codemasters team. So you can really tell the Codemasters team, knowing that they probably can't do it in F1, are taking inspiration from the Drive to Survive series from Formula One, the Netflix show, and wanted to really do something with that, and I guess decided that's the direction they wanted to go for their next Grid game. Or maybe they just thought Grid would be the best way to do that instead of trying to introduce it into Formula One. Tim Slade. It's like actual drivers in this thing. And I'm just driver 22. Why is that what I'm known as? That's weird. So yeah, very, very clearly Drive to Survive-esque, you know, interviewing the Tim principal. of a team that's very much a Williams or a Haas, it appears, or even an Alfa Romeo. You had the Grid TV interview person giving some insights, much like you do with Will Buxton in the Drive to Survive series. So very, very clearly the inspiration for this game. I don't know if I like it off the bat. I mean, it's interesting. But sports games and racing games don't really need a story. I think the most it's ever needed is something like Forza Horizon, where it's like, hey, here's a festival, go do what you want, but that's about it. You know, obviously games have been experimenting with these story modes. The F1 games had their big quote-unquote story mode last year. The EA games have had story modes for a while. NBA 2K's done it. I've personally never really been for it. To me, it's just give it a, you know, give me a career mode. I can make my own story, or you know, you have you start your way at the bottom, work your way to the top. That's really as much story I think as you need for a sports game. You know, I don't think you're going to really attract newcomers to a sports game by saying, hey, there's a story mode. If they don't like basketball or don't like playing basketball games, they're not going to buy a basketball game for it, you know? But who knows, as we have really stormed out to a lead here. Probably going to have to turn the difficulty up. So far, I'm just racing on the default settings right now. So far, this thing is absolutely on rails. There is nothing to drive in this car, and it really seems to understeer, which is interesting, because the Grid games really seem to be known for their oversteery arcade style. This still has that arcade style, but it's a little more understeery, a little bit more realistic in a way. So we'll have to see if that continues when we start getting into more cars and once you start taking on real races, because you know, so far we're not really doing real races. So what was the point of the first race then if I'm now impressing him? That's weird. Okay, so let's take a look at the gameplay here. So get your standard gameplay settings. So it is on medium. So let's go to hard since that was a little easier. We'll stick with the visual damage for now. Go ahead. We'll keep the flashbacks on. Keep that automatic. Because I am using the controller and I suck at doing that. We'll keep that on. Go ahead, turn the racing line off. ABS, throw that down to 2. Let's turn everything down to off there. Is a drift mode, which I don't seem to be able to turn off for some reason. So you can see the on-screen display, plenty of options there. Let's go ahead and turn the rear view mirror on. And of course, there's your online settings. So we'll go ahead and get started then with this race after I take a quick look at the controls. Always interesting how they give cars like this lights in the Grid series. I remember in the Grid remake game that they made, there was Fernando Alonso's F1 car, and that had headlights on it, which is really weird. Let's see. They do offer, ooh, hello, it's really breaking people. And I could have sworn I turned the racing line off. But it did say it won't take effect until you do the next race or restart your current. We hadn't started this race yet, so it's really weird that it wouldn't change it then. Anyway, one of the things I was saying is I really like the array of camera views you get. You get your multiple cockpit views, which I like. You have your standard one here, you know, with your, you know, where you have the full view of the wheel. Close up, your static one, which I like. I love it when games offer you the option of either a static or a moving follow camera. I always prefer static. Ooh, screwed that one up. How do you... Oh, there you go. A little reset there. But I love it when games offer it to you because I hate the ones that move around the car. I like a static chase cam. Oh, screwed up again. Go ahead, take another. Use the rewind. You only get 2. So kind of like F1 where it does limited you. Got your nose cam right here, and then like a somewhat nose slash cockpit view, which I like. And then you have the one that has the dash, so essentially takes away the steering wheel, and I like that a lot. Man, these cars are hard to drive. Oh, you get 3, my bad. This is our 3rd one here. But I really like it when games offer you multiple cockpit views. And of course, your standard one, like we had just talked about. Really like the way this one looks, actually. It doesn't seem too shaky or anything. Definitely some of the games, like Project Cars and even some of the older grid games, would shake a lot, and I like that it doesn't do that by default. As that is just us there. These things are definitely harder to drive. So it feels like the assist changed. Because again, these are much more difficult to drive now, but the racing line is still on, unless I accidentally just turned it back on. I thought I had turned it off. We are back to the lead here as we now enter the final lap. Yeah, what it is, I don't know if it's just these cars. I didn't notice it in the turn course, but when you hit the brakes, it kind of slides out from you. I don't know if it's because the ABS is off, but it definitely feels a little weird with this car. And I don't understand what it means by impress. It doesn't say anything about winning this race, as we just keep spinning out. I didn't even hit the brakes that time. It just, whoa! It just spun out from us like that guy did. So it might just be these cars are a little weird to drive. But we are catching Maya. Whoa! And she blows a tire. Kind of seemed almost scripted there. Kind of seems like it wants us to win. Again, it's the feeling I got in the last race too, but either way, we'll come across the line here and take the victory, and I'm going to assume we impressed.
And Seneca continued to have trouble during testing, with multiple drivers involved in on-track incidents.
No mistakes this time.
Run it again, but with less throttle. Don't worry, just superficial damage. We'll get there. I promise.
They now look to their new signing, taking on the number 22 to turn around this bad spell.
Check. This is Ajit, lead engineer. We've had a few bad days with the test drivers and I still need help with the setup, so give me a few laps and please bring the car back intact.
So complete 3 laps in the Ganetta. Really weird how there's TV coverage of a single car test like that.
Let's see what this car can do. Push it.
Sorry. Didn't mean to.
Okay, 22. For the first race of the series, we'll need you to keep up with you, mate. So while you're getting data for a Jeep, just get a feel for the car.
What's really, really weird, and this was the issue in that open wheel car, and now that we have the assists off, so I'm thinking it was the assists. Because you didn't notice it in the touring car when all these assists are on, but if you turn to a certain extent, once the wheel has turned a certain amount, it just automatically goes into this oversteer drift mode, which is that one feature that was on that we couldn't turn off. So I'm wondering if it is that drift mode or that drift steering that's causing this. I wonder why it's on. I wonder if it's because of controllers. Maybe you can turn it off with a wheel.
Let's see if we can hit top speed
But
in this
if
section.
it is something where you can't because of a controller, then that is a major issue with this game, and it kind of rings back to NASCAR 21 Ignition, where at the launch of the game you couldn't turn off like the steering assist. It kind of seems like what's happening here, unless we can figure out a way to turn it off. So after this, I'll play with it a little, see if we can turn it off, but I really hate that that is on. I'm not even really listening to what the engineer is saying, because I do not like the engineer in this game. It is way too talkative about stupid things. I mean, look at that. That's a lot of drift right there in the car. Even though it didn't give us drift in its little point system, that was almost completely drift there. Now, moving away from the driving just for a minute, this game obviously looks fantastic. It is, again, on the Xbox Series X. And it does look really nice. The nighttime looks great. But that doesn't surprise me. It is a Codemasters game. We have known for a long time by playing F1 and all the other games Codemasters puts out that Codemasters make some really beautiful games that always push the graphics of the current system. But man, I tell you what, something weird has been going on at Codemasters, and this is obviously well before EA bought them. The F1 series has always made strides and improvements. That's never been an issue for Codemasters. Yes, the game has issues, but it's never been an issue for them. Everything else, though, every other series they've done has its quirks. Take, for example, Dirt. They did the amazing Dirt Rally and Dirt Rally 2.0. Fantastic games. But then they made games that people really didn't like in Dirt 5 and Dirt Showdown. Dirt 4 wasn't that good either. And then the Grid series, they just never seem to have known what to do with it. We had the Toka Race Driver series, which became Grid, which was fine. Took a while for Grid 2, came out, was great. Then you had Grid Autosport, which was released on the 360 and PS3 when the Xbox One and PS4 had come out. Then you wait, launch a reboot of the series, which got pretty poor reception, and now you're doing this weird Drive to Survive thing. It's like they truly don't know what they want to do with Grid. And I think that sucks because Grid on the 360 was such a good series. Now it's really having this identity crisis that Codemasters just doesn't know what to do with it.
My mother has this saying, it's the farmer that makes the dish. What that means is you have to adapt to the ingredients in hand. I went to scout one driver, but found another. And I was impressed by our chat, so I made an offer.
Wait, you were impressed by a conversation?
That's right. You see, to me, when a person's capable of greatness, it's not just about performance. It's about them, who they are. Great drivers are like the great in any field. They have an obsession, a hunger. They have a need to be more, to prove what only they know they can be. I haven't met anyone this passionate since I found Yume.
So I did go ahead and take a look at the settings, and no, it seems like at least with the controller you cannot turn off the drift mode assistance, which is really dumb. But anyway, we're taking a look at the main menu here now, and this is a weird main menu. I don't understand what any of this is. this obviously is a rotating thing on the left. Introduction, I don't know what to, if this is a continuation of the story. Then Rookie Cup, and then a weird Jaguar event for some reason. So you have the story, which I guess is actually meant to bring you up to speed to career. So I guess essentially, story mode is the story that we were looking at, all the things with the cutscenes. And then they said if you wanted to skip that, they labeled it really weird. You go to career mode. So there is a difference between story and career. It's just really weird that they didn't mention that specifically, and it seems like you start over. So even if I do all of this story mode stuff, I have to restart for career mode, even though they say it's you continuing your journey. Really, really weird. Go over to social. That's multiplayer. I don't know why they call it social, but they do. Race creator. That is essentially hosted lobbies. Don't understand why they call it that either. Garage. So much like in previous Grid games, you do have to buy all of your vehicles. And see, there is a V8 supercar, which is nice to see. And kind of what the next generation of supercar will look like. There's the Ford Falcon one. This doesn't even seem... Yeah, this isn't all... So, okay, it does do it by class. So there is the GT class as well, which is another one I'd be interested in. Got the GT4s in here, as well as the Porsche 911, the old Corvette, Aston Martin, the Viper, really old Viper. Let's see here. Ooh, we do have some... I don't know why it's in... I don't know why the DPs are in GT, but we do have the Cadillac DPI. Always love to see the DPI in a game. We do have specific drift cars. Track day. It looks like we have some Minis, some Ganettas, the Ford GT here, as well as the Valkyrie. Interesting lineup of track day cars here. For open wheel racing, we do have the Formula X. So that is interesting to see. So the Formula X, which was in Project Cars 2 and 3, has made its way over to the Grid series. So it is a continuation, of course, of the fact that they did buy Slightly Mad Studio. So interesting to see them put the car in the game. That's really interesting, honestly. Got the open wheel car we were just looking at. There is the Renault, the R26. Not many on the open wheel side, honestly. The Formula X and the Renault, and that's about it. I do remember Grid 2. I absolutely love driving the IndyCar in that game. It's a shame something like that hasn't made its way open. Do have trucks, Stadium Super Trucks, as well as a mock NASCAR Truck Series car. In electric, there is another open wheel car, of course. We do have Formula E, but not. It's the Beltra Icon MK3. It's a Formula E car. We all know it's a Formula E car, but for some reason it's not, even though we have the Jaguar I-Pace. So that's a little weird. Also interesting that electric gets its own category and just isn't thrown in with other things. And then for specials, not sure why these are where they are. You know, these could very easily be in the GT category. I guess the stock car I get, then you have the Porsche. See, these all feel like they should have a category, so it's a little weird that they don't. There's a different stock car too. Interesting. And then team. So I guess if you're doing story mode, you are doing, you're racing for that team. You're doing that story mode. And then if you do career mode, you're doing your own team. So that's interesting. And then, of course, back to the options. But I think that's going to go ahead and we're going to call it there. Grid Legends. Definitely has some potential. There are definitely some things I like about this game. I'd be interested to play it more than I am the last Grid game. I'm very interested to try what's like with the wheel. I've heard some very good things about it with the wheel. However, there are some things I really don't like about this game. And that number one, again, is the fact that that drift mode is on. I cannot turn it off with a controller. If there is a way, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know it. But unfortunately, I just don't see a way to do it right now, at least. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe for more racing content, and maybe more Grid Legends if you want it. But until then, I'll see you next time. Bye!